الشباب جنبية هي بتتحرك
قريب كتير
كتير
وعم تمشي.
Those were some of the last words of 6-year-old Hind Rajab on the phone to Palestinian aid workers. She was fleeing Gaza City with her aunt, uncle, and 3 cousins when Israeli forces shelled their vehicle. During this call, she was the only one left alive in the car and had been hiding among the bodies of her relatives for hours. Her pleas for someone to rescue her only ended when the phone line was cut amid the sound of more gunfire. Hind's body was retrieved 12 days later. The car was found riddled with bullets. A forensic investigation found a total of 335 were fired at close range. Israeli forces also killed 2 paramedics who were sent to rescue her that day. The unit responsible for killing Hind and her family has been named in a new UN report by the top investigative body on Palestine and Israel. But the independent commission goes further. It finds that Hind is not an exception. She's a pattern. One of more than 20,000 children in Gaza, it says, have been deliberately killed as part of Israel's genocide. Welcome to MEE Live. I'm Lucy Neas, and it's Thursday, the 25th of June, 2026. The 88-page UN report examines the full scope of harm inflicted on children since the 7th of October, 2023. From using children's bodies as target practice to torturing them to death in Israeli detention, the report also focuses on reproductive violence and psychological trauma. It builds upon a report from last September that found Israel had committed genocide and that Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, were inciting it. Now, the UN has found that children have been targeted in 2 ways: directly through precision weapons such as quadcopters and sniper rifles, and indirectly through the systematic destruction of the conditions necessary for survival. Children made up 30% of total Palestinians killed in Gaza by October 2025, over the course of Israel's genocide. This includes more than 5,000 under the age of 5 years old. The report also highlights that the violence didn't end with the so-called ceasefire. A month later, an Israeli drone shot dead 2 brothers, aged 9 and 10, who were at the time collecting firewood for their family. The report highlights systematic destruction of infrastructure. Pre-war, there were 564 school buildings across Gaza. Within 2 years, 459 of them had been directly hit. Currently, more than 500,000 children are denied access to formal education. In response, Israel has called the commission a libelous sham. Joining me now is someone that has worked on the ground in Gaza and has witnessed firsthand the reality facing the children there. Consultant surgeon Dr. Nick Maynard. You've been to Gaza multiple times during the genocide. Is Israel deliberately targeting children in Gaza from your experience?
Yes, in my experience, and I've seen evidence of that with my own eyes.
Care to elaborate?
Yes, I've had several trips out there. In the earlier trips, I witnessed many children who'd been victims of explosive injuries from bombs. The injuries we were seeing was totally disproportionate compared to what we were expecting, and indeed what has been reported in previous conflicts in modern times. And indeed, we published a paper describing those injuries in the British Medical Journal. But it seemed a deliberate targeting of civilian populations and children. But on my most recent trip, I saw what to me was very clear evidence of the direct and deliberate targeting of individual children. When I saw many children, and indeed operated on many of them, who had been shot by Israeli soldiers, Gaza humanitarian food distribution sites. And we had multiple teenage boys, sometimes as young as 10 or 11, being brought in having been shot by Israeli soldiers. The deliberate nature of that, the pattern of injuries, we saw different body parts being targeted on different days. And it seemed to me that the pattern of injuries, the clustering of injuries was so striking that it seemed to all of us that it was beyond coincidence. And it seemed to us that like the Israeli soldiers were playing a game of target practice.
God, how horrendous. I mean, in this recent report, I've read instances of, teenage boys being shot and then run over by tanks. At Al Nasser Pediatric Hospital, there was the story in which the Israeli forces gave staff 30 minutes to evacuate, and that didn't allow time to evacuate the patients. And then weeks later, when the ceasefire allowed investigators to return, you see they find the decomposing bodies of 4 babies in the neonatal unit. You are a doctor. Does any of this surprise you?
So, I mean, the short answer is no, it doesn't surprise me. Of course, it did surprise me, 2.5 years ago when I was first in Gaza and witnessing all these appalling events. I could not believe what I was seeing. I could not believe what I was hearing about from close friends and colleagues. But to be honest, nothing surprises me now. Having witnessed with my own eyes these young teenage boys having been shot by Israeli soldiers, having witnessed the death of many children under my care with malnutrition, who'd been deliberately starved by the Israeli blockade, having seen little baby Zainab, 7 months old, die of starvation, knowing that formula feed had been confiscated from American doctors' luggage at the border crossing between Israel and Gaza, having heard about these Israeli soldiers deliberately removing the formula feed, deliberately leading to the death of these babies, nothing surprises me now.
Gosh, I mean, it makes absolutely zero sense. The baby formula, it's just horrific to hear.
It is all, and they of course tell us they tell us when we're going into Gaza they will remove anything that could be conceivably have a double use, could be used as a weapon. I've racked my brains trying to imagine what formula feed could be used as, but of course it can be used for nothing other than feeding babies and saving their lives.
And I know that you personally have been talking about your experiences in Gaza for months, more than a year. The UN released accused Israel of committing genocide September 2025. South Africa, of course, accused it as early as December 2023. Do you really think this report will change anything?
Well, in a normal functioning world, one would imagine that it would change something. But having witnessed at first hand my government refusing to act on the basis of evidence we have given them, having seen at first hand how complicit my government is, and indeed the US government and many other European governments, having seen how the rest of the world has allowed Israel to act with complete and utter impunity, what is revealed in this report, this United Nations report, that they know all of this. This has all been provided to them in graphic pictorial evidence over the last 2 years. So actually it's nothing new for them. They know all of this. So one would like to think that people would act on the basis of that, but they haven't done so far. So I will not hold my breath waiting for our governments to act on this.
And I'm sure there are many cases and stories, individual stories that probably keep you up at night and that you carry with you. Could you please share with us some of your experiences from working in Gaza?
Yeah, I mean, there are so many tragic cases that have brought me to tears on so many occasions. A little 11-year-old girl on my last trip there last summer who had a severe explosive injury, which shattered her lower esophagus in her chest. I spent the whole of one night operating on her to reconstruct her esophagus. we did it successfully. The repair was successful, but we had no nutrition to give her. She died 4 weeks later, and the major cause of that was lack of nutrition due to the deliberate Israeli blockade. That case has haunted me ever since. Every time back in England, back in Oxford, where I work, every time I operate on the esophagus, it's my main specialty. Every time I operate on the esophagus now, I think of this poor girl who died unnecessarily. So she will haunt me to the days I die, and particularly because it was so preventable. If we had the nutrition to give her, she, I'm sure, would have survived.
Dr. Nick Maynard, thank you so much for sharing with us your stories today.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Really, really appreciate it.
All right, my pleasure.
Okay. And that's all we have time for today. To all of you watching, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, make sure you're following us on social media at Middle East Eye. You can also email meelive@middleeasteye.net. We'll be here live at 5 every Tuesday and Thursday, noon if you're in New York. See you then.